for gank opportunities.
Yeah, and also just opens up a lot on the side lane if IG want to overextend themselves. Makes it easier for Weibo to be able to at least get another man into a fight, which has shown to be pretty important so far in this series. Team fighting definitely being a pretty big emphasis. All right, we're getting Gala with this Kai'Sa. Not paired with the Nico this time, so in terms of engaged supports, you still have a lot of options. You still have the Leona, you have the Nautilus. Things just to consider as we go further into this draft. Maybe IG want to snap up a mid laner here, or maybe get their top side matchup. Might be a TheShy Nidalee game, or a Yorick game.
Yorick would be more fun, I think.
I don't know if that's true. I don't know if I've ever heard anybody be like, you know what I want to do today? I want to go log on to Summoner's Rift and be like, Yorick.
Hey, I know there are a ton of people. There's a crowd. There's always a crowd, so I hope they heard me. But I do think Yorick would have been hard to justify, knowing that Weibo can really command the side lanes already pretty harshly, and they could index further. And they might do it with a Xiaohu Talia, which has been one of his most prominent play champions. Yeah, so Weibo are really going to be able to command the map if they find themselves in a good spot early mid-game. But this comp definitely feels a bit rougher if they fall behind.
Yeah, they're going to run out of steam. It just means that they need to be able to find pretty big picks going on. Obviously, with the Talia and a Pantheon, you have a ton of damage. Does mean that your mid 2v2 is also very potent. We'll see what the back end of the draft here is. I like the Ahri takeaway against the Talia. If you're also looking, maybe you get rid of the Azir, as that's something that you already see from IG. Very similar to what we got in our first game, actually, of the night versus TT and JDG. And Ornn, be able to have that scaling. Kai'Sa's also one of those really big hyper carries and can potentially open up a lot for this team.
It's already seen some awesome Gala Kai'Sas, just a ton of awesome Kai'Sas in the LPL too that have completely warped games with their ability to fight out through those team fights. So I'm excited to see Gala on it, but yeah, you gotta make sure to enable Gala well for this. Weibo won't really be pinching the support pool. They're looking to target Rookie, knowing that he's gonna have a counter pick into Xiaohu's Talia this game. So they'll ban both the Ori and the Ahri off of Rookie.
I like Ahri, or I like the Ori, kind of similar to the Azir that I was mentioning. And obviously one of Rookie's best performing mid champions that he has. IG, I think you'd probably want to get rid of MF. That was the kind of pick I was going for. Vera's still up on the table. I mean, get long range.
Wow, yeah.
Obviously go for that on hit if they really want it to.
How many times in the LPL this year has Varus gone through both pick and ban? That definitely has not happened often. And, well, like, I mean, why would you ever not take advantage of this opportunity? He will lock that one in behind pretty good front line, buy a lot of space for it, and we'll see if he decides to go the on hit, because I do know Lethality can struggle into Crescent Guard, and it can be pretty hard to try and lock down this Kai'Sa, but we'll have to see here is Meiko will get one of those pivotal engaged champions to play next to this Kai'Sa. I would think even if they do pick this Sylas up here for Rookie, which would be, oh, that is a Rookie staple.
Yeah, I just think it's very dangerous to go Sylas here. I mean, there's a pretty low range composition, and if you get taken down early, it can be very difficult. Sylas can be, I think, very good into low range compositions, and you have some pretty premium ults. So here, R5 here, are we giving this to Urha? Are we moving this Pantheon into support? We'll have to see. Well, there's already some fan signs here for the new support of Weibo. We're getting Renata, so
I like it.
A very dangerous now here for IG. If they make a single misstep, Renata ultimate alongside that Unraveled Earth from Talia, this could very quickly get out of hand from them. But you look at what IG have, I think they have a lot of tools, some early skirmishing to be able to match Weibo in the early game. And, you know, you've got some scaling as well in your back pocket. That Kai'Sa and Ornn are going to deal a lot after this game goes on.
Hyped to see Era once again getting put in a position to really level this matchup. I am always a fan of Renata as a champion in the right circumstances. I think this is a flawless one. This game checks off so many of the boxes screaming, pick Renata. Low range into an engaged support in lane. if positioned correctly, these hostile takeovers could signify Weibo taking over the 4th spot here in Group Ascend, solidifying themselves for now into the playoffs. And like we mentioned, they have yet to ever grab one of those top 4 spots with how dramatically disappointing of a start this squad had in the Rumble stage.
It's been a tough one for Weibo. IG have also had their fair of struggles, right? They've been kind of inconsistent, legendarily inconsistent, but that is more so an IG thing as an org and maybe less so about these players, maybe kind of personifying that a little bit in their play. And obviously an important series nonetheless. I think that TheShy would love to be able to take down his former organization, you know, the one that to bring him to Worlds Finals, and some of his former teammates as well. So probably mean a lot, you know, who ended up winning out on the divorce all those years ago.
Always the debate. It's awesome. You could just have a whole on podcast episode about who won the divorce with so many LPL legends, but that is for another day. As the Jiejie ring us in to what could be the final game of our day. The way Weibo were able to dismantle IG in game 1, and this time around, no invade shenanigans. Erha not getting punished. Everyone just fanning out really across the board here. The most neutral start you can get. Expect some wards onto Raptors pits. That should be about it. We do get an on-hit Varus again from Light. Also taking Ghost. Haven't seen any carries take Ghost in a while.
Yeah, it's really weird. Huh. Okay. So, I mean, he just wants to have the movement speed. I think it makes sense when you have a Sinsao, when you have this Silas. Having that MS might be the difference maker between them getting onto you and potentially them not. And you're not too worried about this bot lane matchup, especially with Kai'Sa early. Depends on how your support ends up playing it. That handshake coming in from Erha is going to make or break this 2v2.
This 2v2 already kicks off. Meiko throwing down the dredge line. Ignite onto Erha. First plasma stack does come across for Gala. Lethal Tempo is starting to really fly, but they won't press the issue too much further, knowing that they got the Ghost out of Light.
This ends up actually being a pretty good trade coming in for Weibo. I know it looks like there's a lot of damage on Erha, and there is, but with the Ignite down, Erha still has the heal. So in terms of effective combat summoner spells, I would say that Weibo actually have a pretty meaningful advantage here. Both junglers are actually going on to opposite sides, so Jiejie looking to impact a little bit more on that top side as Tian is going to, again, path down here, see if maybe there's something he can do at the 330 mark. But aside from that, we'll have to see. And my eyes are glued to this mid lane as, again, the laning phase for these two mid laners has been quite questionable so far in 2025.
But this time around, it's not like a melee volatile v melee matchup of the Ambessa Yone here. You definitely feel like Xiaohu is, you know, competent in this lane matchup. The Talia should be able to farm pretty freely and get constant shove into Rookie, no?
Yes, there is some angles here for Rookie to be able to fight back. If he gets a Merc Treads early, he should be able to kind of be willing to trade his HP, especially if he's going for Q max. He actually hasn't put a point in his W, so he won't even have that heal at least for a little bit of time, at least until level 5 at the very least. Interesting kind of tech here. I mean, you're never probably getting into melee range of Talia anyway, so why not just go for the poke? I like this coming out from Rookie.
Also just helps a little bit with that wave clear too, right? On those caster means you can drop the Q through, extra damage, constantly coming up a bit more. Lane swap initiated here from IG on first reset. Level 2, Meiko and Gala heading all the way up top side. So this is the first real chess piece move here from IG. Wait on the response of Weibo as Breathe finds out the classic Scion news.
Well, Weibo might try to go for this dive. If TheShy actually does this TP, they should see this.
They see it. Tian
He's going to cancel his recall, okay.
Hold on, Breathe though on the other side. Does eat a dredge line, but classic Scion, way too tanky for a dagger-built Gala to really deal with. Wave isn't coming up here. TheShy has some space. Oh, though once again, Tian cancels the back.
Jiejie's coming though. He's going to just be here to reinforce, get a vision. They'll be able to spot out Tian.
walks in. Tian stands completely still. I thought he was going to stun a bit earlier here, but Jiejie initiates the combat, gets the knock-up, and like you called out, really should just be protecting, but now we're really over-indexing into this dive as Breathe is teleported down. Shy flashes out of the first knock-up. The handshake's going to land here. They're going to dump all their damage onto the Shy, and with that piercing arrow, we'll be able to commit to the play. Breathe, understanding the assignment of playing Scion. I sack everything to get my teammates ahead.
And actually, this is just going to be them picking up the wave. Xiaohu's going to go back top. He's going to try and pick up whatever of this gold that's this Kaisa is pushing. And then just very easily probably even shift. They're actually going to put their bottom lane immediately in mid. A creative play nonetheless coming in from Weibo. And really all that was lost was a fair amount of XP. But really this favors the Scion in particular. And that kill going over to Varus feels incredible.
Like we talked about the last time we saw the Varus as well, it just helps buy more time for those much more expensive 2 items that you expect when you go this on-hit route. You're not going to be able to lean on those cheaper lethality items for quicker spikes, so getting accelerated feels almost twice as nice in this form of the Varus. Is Meiko doing a good job making sure that Gala on his response rotation won't miss any creeps himself.
Still, good job coming in from Weibo to find that, especially with putting down the Shy early. It is just a Scion versus Ornn, but usually Scion has a little bit more combat power in the 1v1. Talia now having access to that Weaver's Wall does mean that if he needs to, Xiaohu could very easily wrap back around, come on behind one of his opponents. Here's the start of this, the grub spawning here. It seems like for now IG will have first say. Talia has to teleport back. Tian's just walking back from base. I don't think we're contesting this objective, guys.
Yeah, just a little too slow. They do spot out the grub take going, and for now Gala has to answer that mid wave. So with that pressure alone, Jiejie is going to jump off the grubs. Meiko takes a half HP chunk from a full light combo, and well, mid lane prio and some poke damage rights the wrongs of that maybe slow rotation, and Weibo come away with another early game win, 2-1 on the grubs.
Yeah, Meiko just spent way too much time in the river. If he just reinforces Gala on the mid wave, they can play a little bit up towards this topside river brush, and that should have at least gotten them 2 grubs. Maybe they just leave the third because they want to try to look for something on bottom lane, but instead Weibo just grabbed themselves 2 grubs. Like you said, a early game objective win there for them. As Erha just buying space right now, trying to find something. Rookie has the ability to steal the ults.
Ooh.
It's a flash coming out from Erha. That should be a good opener, I think, coming in from IG around this bottom lane.
Which they can easily try and transition into a Drake play here. Light's getting pretty low on mana himself, so should be that trade coming across. Tian's taking a look at that Drake, but really risky to even try and solo that. That would be preposterous. Does seem like both teams are kind of settling in, though. There's still a couple there's still chickens to clear for Jiejie, and get a top lane reset from the Shy on the bot side. He is not going to be able to teleport back, so it's another game where we might see first Drake go down a bit later than anticipated.
And I like this right now. Tian is on this top side. He's just trying to get level 6, which is a huge power spike for Tian. And as long as he's off vision, it does mean that he can kind of answer into one of these side lanes very, very quickly. With, I was going to say, Rookie having access to the Chains of Corruption from Varus, there was maybe an angle for him to try to force something from Xiaohu. We're already getting some interesting rotations. Breeze's going to hit the mid lane real quick. Xiaohu's going to come back out onto the map and just go towards mid. And with Breathe having teleport soon, seems like all eyes from Weibo are towards that dragon, whereas IG, Jiejie might be late to this. You can already see they're going to get push in bottom. They're going to lose push in bottom lane from the side of IG. And
he's got blue left to clear too.
Yeah, he's finishing all of his topside camps.
Another window for Weibo to continue just winning in this potentially series clinching game 2 for Weibo, which would be such a statement to kick off their second round robin, knowing how much they fought back to save and salvage that first half. And like clockwork, Vision going to come down, Light and Erha, whenever Tian calls for it, can swing over to 3-man that dragon, and hey, they even can maybe potentially pick up a, plate, I was going to say, but Shy takes down that wave. Should just be this dragon, pretty uncontested. Jiejie is just now polishing off his blue buff.
Right. It is on Vision, right? I guess it isn't on Vision. I thought that it wasn't getting canceled. It was like very much on the edge, but IG's bottom lane are starting to collapse. Rookie's going to look for a TP timer, but he's being pressured by Breathe.
Okay, Xiaohu's first big combo doesn't find the seismic shove, but does poke off Gala, and IG are just a bit too skittish with that range from Xiaohu, so they'll give away the dragon as well. And get not very much back here. Mid lane wave prio, that's about it, but Xiaohu's there to turn, and Wave will have an answer.
TheShy, it's time to ult, brother. It is time to ult the minion wave, because you are dying if you stay under this turret, brother.
Deja vu of last time. Lets the wave get too close. What's going to be the first CC committed? Is Tian going to try to take aggro? I love how they wait out that first big knockup. The Ornhorn's coming across, but it was just too late. Erha, ooh, nearly juggles the turret aggro perfectly with the bailout, but does make it a trade, but still an advantageous trade for Weibo at the end of the day, especially gold-wise.
You're just putting gold into Light's back pocket at this point. You know, the kill going over to Tian is nice. Another plate going over to Light. Do you see that Jiejie on the opposite side is taking away more of these jungle camps? And IG's bot lane will be at least there to catch most of this minion wave. Cancel, very cheeky cancel coming out from Breathe. Probably going to happen to him as well. And he has flash still. He has ultimate. I don't think he's under too much
he's going
threat.
for this. He's going all in. He's got Jiejie here. If they get Breathe low enough, they might be able to justify a dive. Breathe has to flash away as well.
Erha's in the area.
Yes, another good cover from Weibo. They just have all the answers right now.
All right, Pantheon has ultimate. Does he look for a play onto the AD carry, or does he try to stop this
TP
movement onto... Okay, it is just Sion. I think they just got vision onto
baited.
these grubs. They're going to move over. I mean, Erha's in the area. Maybe they just do this.
Do they know? They not only Meiko's down here with Gala. They would have the man advantage. Maybe make a play onto the mid lane too.
Might just
Gotta
be
make up their
3v3.
minds.
Just might be a 3-on-3 for grubs.
That's what Jiejie wants to do. Here comes the Grand Starfall, though. The Spear of Destiny comes down, and there's the Weaver's Wall. Doesn't immediately get dropped there from Xiaohu, but a great handshake comes across from Erha, and feats of warfare secured. Weibo continue their polished play in this series.
Good collapse from the mid jungle of Weibo means that at least the grubs will go over 3 for 3. Right now, Tian is actually stealing some more of these camps, at least takes the Gromp this time around. Trying not to grief his support. Good job. As just a fantastic collapse, and what we're going to probably expect to see coming out from Weibo as this game goes on. It's going to be a lot of push and move, sitting in Fog of War, and if anybody seems out of position, suddenly a numbers advantage for IG turns into 2, maybe more, coming out from the woodworks here from our red side.
And you like to see that style of draft from a team. You know, take the nameplates off. Disregard the organizations for a second here, right? A team that dominates game 1, and they want to finish off this series, and they pick the more proactive comp. That's what you love to see. It's once again exudes confidences. They don't even need ults to go for this overload here. They're just going to get the 1 versus 3 onto Rookie. Does take away that hostile takeover. Fires it. Still holds onto it. Then finally fires it onto Xiaohu. But this is a 1v4 again. It just feels like Weibo have clones of each other the way they're playing the map. Like it's 4v6 out here.
And what else are IG even going to be able to get? Because they're never ganking this bottom side. It looks like they're going to try to focus for some plates in mid lane. But this is more gold going over to Xiaohu and just kills, continuing to funnel into Weibo. Good map play coming in from Weibo Gaming. It's what we should expect. I mean, Xiaohu in 2023 was basically carrying this Weibo roster through the regional finals off of his side lane play on champions like Tristana. So to see him continue to do this.
Change of Corruption whiffs, but that handshake looked pretty nice. Breathe flies in. Jiejie with the Crescent Guard. Once again up. Good flash from Light to get away from TheShy here. But Rookie over the wall. Gonna find Light and eviscerate him from under the turret. There is the big shot that IG needed. And down goes Xiaohu as well. Good picks found. The flank angles prove pivotal for Invictus Gaming.
And all of the damage dealers are taken immediately. Playing in a choke point plays to IG's strength. We did say, as Weibo, we saw that as soon as the fight broke out, there's a Sion ult, everybody's kind of coming on through, but they just were missing some very important ultimates, like Renata no longer having her hostile takeover. And here, we're just split, right? Like, it's Light just getting engaged upon. There's no ultimate now from this Varus. And between Ornn and the Sylas, what are Weibo to do? Their damage is completely split up from here.
Gala gets a full combo down onto Xiaohu as well. Same things we saw play Thunder Talk not too long ago is split team fighting, and you're definitely not going to get away with making that mistake into IG, who, for all their perils in this series, are so poised in so many team fights, and it's what has gotten them to this 5-4 mark, and I would dare say has helped them come back from a lot of goal deficits. We even saw that in some of the clips we were able to run before this series.
Oh, for sure. They're leaning a little bit on that experience and, you know, just having the playmaking. I think some of the clutch factor of this IG is some of the best in the league. Just that JDG series alone, game number 3, they make the defense and then run all the way to the base. Only IG might be able to see that kind of angle and end like that. So Jiejie alone in the pit. Rookie, however, going to be able to... Oh.
Gets over Tian. Xiaohu forced back here. Teleport into the pit from TheShy. The Grand Starfall is still going to go through. TheShy isn't able to cancel it. Rookie does not get the Abscond of Duck, so Tian able to be super dodger, showing Brand exactly how to escape around incoming skill shots. Down goes Rookie, but they do supersede control of this Drake pit to IG, and with the smite from Jiejie, they're going to be able to get out with that second Drake. Jace given by Breathe, but he's getting poked down heavily by Gala, who does have a lethal tempo starting to stack. Weibo's health bars are hurting, and that is a huge Ornhorn onto 3. The hostile takeover buying some space for Weibo, but they're all just going to get cut down in an instant by IG, who bide their time and cash in a king's ransom.
Holy hell, this Ornn is getting so much work done. TheShy, I thought you were a connoisseur of some of the more skill-intensive champions. What is going on? Weibo continue to play into chokes and just give TheShy some of the best setup that he could possibly ask for. This starts off with a really messy fight yet again coming in. They're getting pincered all around. Tian just barely is able to make it out of the pit before this this knockup from TheShy comes through. I thought he was going to ult towards his team. Now the entire team is trying to play over terrain, trying to catch Rookie. They put all of the resources in killing the Silas, but I just want to watch TheShy, man. I need to see this guy play this Ornn here. He's able to get the knockup. Doesn't stop the Scion, but I think it's reasonable when there's other players in front of you, and then just watch right here. This ultimate, man. Oh.
Woo. Man, if that hostile takeover didn't hit, this would have ended so much quicker.
And then the E as well, like, okay, that's the TheShy I needed to see. Hopefully give us a little bit more of that in this series, as I will be the Dragon, like we had said, going over to Invictus, and now there's a Herald being played for. Invictus are here first. You can kind of see that with Kaisa and the Sin Sao, that really no space for Weibo to find an access into this side of the play. Maybe they try to cut people off around mid with the Leah ultimate, but I think that Weibo are probably going to just call off their bets, especially with that mid-tier 1 Fallen.
IG with a commanding gold lead. Have some item advantages as well. Gala with that cheaper static Shiv gets to 2 items with the Rage Blade stacking. He's in a premier spot. He has the most gold lead of anyone in his matchup, almost alone, bringing home the gold total here for Xiaohu, as he does. Weaver's wall about 5 feet. Don't know what that was about, but that's Weaver's wall down.
Yeah. All right. Well, hey man, you take those. So IG just get control of mid here. They can very easily move this into bottom side and get Rookie his wave. So there's going to be a lot of gold suddenly, and they still have the Herald. I like this from IG, bouncing back from a rough game 1, and in this game 2 being gifted a lot of free gold here coming in from Weibo.
And remember, it's Weibo that have to use these global ultimates to try and create advantages for themselves, as they do get that Pantheon Seismic Shove combo down. Do they have enough to commit to the kill on Jiejie? The hijacked hostile takeover nearly buys enough space, but that turret does come out of bounty. Good pick from Weibo, bringing 4 members down to the bot side.
Gold on the Kaisa, that's all I'm worried about at this moment. 1,500 gold over his opponent here as Gala. And so he already has his 2 items. This on-hit Kaisa is going to rip through the front line of Weibo. If he really needs to, hey, dive into the back line of it as well. So coming on through, got 3 minutes, 2 minutes actually now before that Rod of Ages is done for Rookie. And with this Rift Herald, they could just walk into whichever wave they want. I don't think they're going to be very interested in this top tier one. I think more so looking at that dragon in a minute's time and potentially looking to take down a pretty half HP'd mid tier 2. I think you're fine with making that trade if you are IG.
Definitely another plus EV gold play, as we also have a Ruinous Otacon that is going to spawn shortly on that bot side. Again, this is what makes it tough for Weibo to play from behind, knowing that this comp is designed to play with a lot of map control and force these overloads when IG ever overextends. But now with a lot of gold and a lot more confidence, they're able to really take control of the bot side. You can see it in the vision as well. The jungle for Weibo is pretty well warded, so Gala, barring, it's all down to positional mistakes here right now on this side of the map for IG, and that's wishful thinking for Weibo right now.
Yeah. Maybe now with Taliyah hitting 2 items, and same thing with Tian, there's a little bit of room to play. With how light this first dragon was taken, though, don't think that there's going to be too much of a need or a want from Weibo to get onto this side of the map. They are very happy with taking that top tier one, though. Again, having extended lanes, having really long lanes for Weibo to chase with this Taliyah and Pantheon make it very difficult for Weibo or for IG to push much further and maybe push themselves into a bad spot versus some of the globals of Weibo.
That might have just been the latest we've seen feats of strength ever go down. Nearly 21 minutes that last dragon decides the boot upgrades for IG. Just want to point that one out. But again, how this map is split, I think, is just so favorable for IG because, yeah, sure, the top lane gets that extended lane. You have to be a little bit careful if you're likely TheShy answering those waves, but Weibo really have to find their own control this side of the map, knowing that Otacon is the very potent play in this moment for the game.
You know, Slayer, I'm looking at this game right now, and I've got to say, Weibo are in a bit of trouble now.
Yeah, they really are.
They haven't really been able to advance the game state in a reasonable amount of time. Light's going to be late to this. I mean, this is just free Otacon going over. What are Weibo doing?
Cannot contest this. They're trying to come in late. This is a mistake we've seen too many teams make. And it's just going to need to immediately lean Tian to get hooked in. They're trying to bring Breathe down. They get the Chains of Corruption across. Once again, though, they're targeting Rookie, and TheShy's getting so much value. Gala's getting attacked by the hostile takeover. He does go into the cleanse. TheShy getting poked down, but this Orin is way too tanky to deal with, and Breathe's health bar is quickly evaporating. Weibo grouped up on top of each other are going to be able to walk their way out, but they burned so much there just to get no kills, no flower petals, nothing.
And just lose your summoner spells. Cool. Great trade coming in from IG. Masters of the deal there. As they even now summon in the Rift Herald. They're going to use this to push on to mid-tier 2. Baron doesn't spawn for another 2.5 minutes, but I have to imagine that IG, hoping to break open this turret line of Weibo, now set themselves up to get into position and start putting down vision so that when this Baron does spawn, they can try to force the hand of Weibo.
And having Baron control allows them to play together as a squad and continue to further limit the threat of Weibo's comp, wanting IG to split up here. Tian starting to try and force the issue here as Jiejie does get pushed out of his own jungle. So for now, Weibo do have a bit of a window here to try and knock down a mid-tier 1 turret of their own. Seismic shove down onto Meiko. The support does have to burn his flash. Tian off to the side now. The clear target with the blast cone will save him. So some of the woes of Meiko's game style starting to hinder IG as he once again sacrifices a lot of his HP for little.
But look at this. They're losing waves on top. They're losing waves on bottom lane. Weibo are over-indexing to try to grab this, and TheShy is in a great position.
Oh, here we go. The Orn Horn down. Multiple knockups. Rookie finally gets his clutch engage onto Tian. Knockup for Breathe to come back, though, and they do catch Rookie first, but Light is down, and Gala is completely unleashed. Look at Gala fly through, but he nearly gets caught on a stun. Great flash cleanse, gets him back out. Gala's in, Gala's out. Weibo are completely routed. This big-time Starlight is going to come down, though, and Tian is actually able to drop Gala at 1 HP back down, but it's fine because the front line will bring this one home for IG. The Breathe going to be the last one to fall. Another fight win for IG, just how they drew it up.
No one can deal with this Ornn at this moment. He provides too much CC, too much of a great engage coming in, and Weibo overgrouping, overclumping, and giving IG the perfect setup for a fight. All of those summoner spells that they had lost, well, guess what? They're going to lose more of them here on this play. And just why? Why as Weibo? I get maybe you're feeling some of the anxiety of this game starting to get to you, but you're just giving up free waves for a team that you really want to try to spread thin on the map and collapse upon with your numbers advantage and these globals. Xiaohu loses his flash just to give over even more kills to Gala.
Almost gets that catch, though. The Geist is always going to have to be wary about. I do respect this play from Tian as well, just sacrificing to try and get that AoE of the Pantheon ult down. But again, these are just fleeting marginal wins. IG are completely in control, and that split map dream fantasy of overextensions galore and free picks all game has come and gone. IG now are going to be able to control Weibo and dictate how fights work on their terms, and a scary prospect is how a fight looks around Baron that could really just end this game or section them off even more here as Light and Xiaohu are desperately caught a little bit too high up towards the mid wave. They get the ghost out of Light, but that does mean teleport comes down from TheShy.
All right, now they have to be able to make their
Oh my God,
stand.
are they
going to be going for this? It's going to be them starting up the Baron. More and more upgraded items being sent out to IG and the rest of the squad. Xiaohu and Erha are nowhere nearby, though.
This feels so risky. Bit of a gambit. Nonetheless, Baron does reset, and there isn't really any further punishments. Keep in mind there is an Ocean Drake towards the bot side that may be pulling the attention of IG. Rookie trying to lead through with that Chains of Corruption, and Jiejie has a huge wraparound. Tian is going to spot out with Erha, gets a heal for the speed up, but Tian it might be the caught target. Good Weaver's Wall from Xiaohu, though. Keeps Weibo safe, but IG relentless through the jungle.
I think that was really well played from those three members of Weibo. Xiaohu with the Unraveled Earth actually stopping Rookie and stunning him. The Weaver's Wall eventually making it impossible for them to make it through, but the Aegis Assault coming in from Tian as well. They're going to start up this dragon. It's going to be Kaisa. Remember, she has ultimate. She's on the dragon as well with Jiejie. They're going to be going for the Baron. How quickly can they take this? Their dragon take,
Not quick enough.
is incredibly slow.
Yep, dragon's already down. Gala is cresting over mid lane right now, and TheShy is itching to start a fight. And look at Rookie. Look at this hostile takeover. It hits onto 4 members. Rookie makes Weibo cut themselves down to size. It's the IG way. Team fighting home and wiping the floor with WBG.
Well, there's the teleports. How much more can they grab? They didn't grab the Baron, but they outright slam Weibo into the ground with that team fight. They even put themselves on soul point. They have 3 grubs. They've got Gala. They're just going to be able to tank it. They're going to look for the end here.
They've got death timers for their 20 seconds. Don't have grubs. Pretty light wave, but I think TheShy is going to make the difference here. He's just so tanky. He takes the aggro first, and just as we expected, this heavyweight bout for a potential playoff spot in Group Ascend will be taking us the distance, and it's the IG way through superior team fighting to even our series up.
Just an incredible display from them, keeping their cool and showing a lot of the temperament of this roster, being able to hold their summoner spells, being able to hold themselves in this game after what was a very strong opener coming in from Weibo.
Glad we got to see both of these teams really nurture a draft and execute on it so well here. IG, they played that game patiently. I know we were getting a bit worried about how they moved in the early game, but they understood that they needed to wait for those bigger pockets to fight over some of those neutrals, and once those dragons came, the heralds came, they were just so flawless at some of these, at us layering these ultimates. I know you praised TheShy very well. Gala found his windows pretty awesomely. I know Rookie got caught at the start of some of those fights, but dictating so much attention with ultimates pouring on top of just one guy, it's the selfless act you needed from Rookie, and this is why IG are 5-4 and in contention for some of those bigger threats. It's because of games like that, like the game you just watched.
I just feel so confused as to what we got. I think Tian just having a really bad game after grabbing MVP on the Skarner, which again, still have a lot of questions about. But just this game from Tian was like, we're ulting into places, we're kind of just getting caught a lot of the times, and that was mostly due to Tian's positioning, but I also do want to praise IG on their ability to recognize, like, I don't think he's actually allowed to be there. We have our Nautilus. Hell, let's just engage on this guy.
Yep, and a great job punishing. I think we saw Weibo really start to get skittish, and I think we've seen, I think it's safe to say through 2 games, we've seen kind of the highs and lows of Weibo. You really see what happens when their comp kind of gets a little disjointed, and they like to play a lot of early game focused, level 6 base compositions, and when stuff doesn't go their way, what do we start seeing? Them, like, window watching an Otacon take, 5-manning for a mid lane tier 1. Like, even when you're playing from behind, I know it gets stressful, but you can't fall into these traps against IG, and you definitely can't fall into those types of traps against the opponents that we're talking about Weibo potentially threatening on the Ascend standings.
This just means that this game gets even closer. What's so funny is that I go, Weibo are 12-12, Invictus are 12-12. Right now, they are both 13-13. They're trying to break the 500 score line for their game score. And, I mean, just winning this series means so much. Again, second half of the round robin means that this is the last time that we will see these teams fight against each other, at least until playoffs. And every win matters. Every single series matters from this point onwards, as just being able to secure and potentially auto-qualify for playoffs saves a lot. And I think it's really important for these two teams to show this split for fans as well as themselves that they still kind of have it. There's so many doubts for these two rosters coming through.
Yeah, I think that's a great point to make when thinking back to the history of Split 1. IG bow out right off the rip, playing into top esports, who you could say became the defending champ or became the champion, so that's one thing. And then Weibo try to make their mark against BLG in that classic matchup. Like, both these teams did not win a playoff series in Split 1. With these kind of rosters, that is just not what the fans expect and not what the players expect of themselves.
Yeah. All right. I mean,
player of the game?
Please be TheShy.
I'm worried. I'm worried, Alk. I don't know what to think
anymore. Who are you giving it to? Because, like, maybe Rookie. I could see Rookie. Okay, we're getting a TheShy cinematic cam. He's got the MVP.
100% the
He's
Shy.
got the
Yeah,
MVP.
it's 100% TheShy.
All right, cool. Good to know. I'm glad that we saved him from Valorant very early on. He even got the screen shake. Damn, man. I don't know. I'm coming into this game 3, and I personally think that one of the issues with Invictus is TheShy, and not for the reasons you might think, but because his champion pool is pretty limited. Now, we get into this draft. There's no Rumble, there's no Gwen, there's no Ornn, there's no Mbessa, there's no Sion. So what else is TheShy going to play realistically? He can play the Nidalee. That has been kind of his go-to answer in game number 3s. We could see the Yorick again coming out from him, but I'm merely just worried that we might have a game where TheShy says, guys, it's looking like a Nidalee game. I'm sorry. And they're going to be on red side, right? So you have the potential to counter pick.
And the main problem with those two picks that you're talking about is that they demand, like, when you pick his Nidalee or you pick Yorick, like, it warps your comp. Like, it dictates so much attention to your comp that, like, starts eliminating other options in other lanes, right? Like, you have to play his style. You have to play towards him. That's why some people, like, point out that one person can, like, grief a whole comp. Like, people have those worries about TheShy's Nidalee. I think the same sentiment can be shared with the York, so I'm glad you brought that up. As much praise as we're about to give TheShy, because he's going to grab this MVP, he needs to be not the backstabber from his champ pool in another Game 3 that IG would really love to win. Because not only, you started to point it out, right, they get over 500 in the game score, they hop over Weibo with series score, and they hold the head-to-head. They even up the head-to-head tiebreaker, so this, knowing where we're at in the standings, this is massive, as TheShy does, deservedly so, earn his Ornn MVP.
He played really well. Even with getting focused early on, he was a pretty pivotal mark of this game, and a great performance from him. I know there was a lot of question marks as to whether or not he was going to be able to kind of live up to some of those older years that we have seen from him in years